Ready or not, here I come now. Let's play hide and seek. Prepare to be caught. Here I come now. Let's play hide and seek. Riding on the playground, no one dares to make a sound. Round and round and round and round, no one wants to be first found.
Here we've got November 12th, 2022, which was the day before the horrific, unfortunate, unnecessary, absolutely unbelievable things happened on 1122 King. Or, I don't believe they actually happened there, but you know what I mean. So what I'm showing you is what happened. I'm trying to cross-reference this for you guys for James Curtis Leonard and the girl, the daughter, her daughter, the wife of his wife's daughter, who talks in with the mother, Leonard's wife, in the Sleuthy Goosey recordings, the ones that JLR got from that Sean Cohen reporter guy. So she talks in that recording about her baby daddy being mean to her along with his friends and telling her to go unalive herself and all that. So she decided she was going to drink herself to death. And then she ended up causing a wreck. And so I'm just going to run through this police report. This was the day that they talk about it, this happening. And I believe that the party, whatever the birthday party, because she was designated driver for a birthday party is what she said. But she decided to go out and get hammered and try to drink herself to death and do all this unnecessary stuff. And they live in Palouse River Drive, that trailer park there, which is a 2-minute drive to King Road. Now, as there's several things that reasons I believe that it could have been a surprise party, and that maybe that's why the cars were parking elsewhere. Like when the vehicle pulls up and then they say they told us to park here or whatever. It could be this party. But that doesn't mean that this party wasn't nefarious and that other things were happening. That does not mean that, because there was a lot going down that night. Not just a quiet night. No, not just a quiet night. Okay, and we could hear it at the grub truck. We could hear like when the sirens went by and Tebow had this look on his face like, holy crap, what happened? I mean, he looked, like, whoa, something just went down, and there was yelling down there, which it sounded like Ethan being taken. There was all sorts of things that happened down the grub truck that I've seen haven't been touched on. And there's some things that I know how people go. I know how people, I know now how people on here, on YouTube, this platform, can come at you when you have some type of different thinking than what you've had. And actually, I'm really lucky to have the people, to have all you out there, because you guys, I've really had great luck. I'm really lucky to have all you and have your support, because I really don't have a lot of that in my comments, unless I'm just not seeing them, which there's a lot of them I do not see. So, we'll just we'll leave it at that. But I still feel very, very lucky. And so some of the things I don't have a trouble saying, or a problem saying, but there's some things, like when it comes to the parents, that's difficult, because people just have their agenda with that, and they'll come at you. And I don't want to be come at. I don't like that. I'm not like that. But I'm going to bring them to the table here soon. They're visitors at the grub truck. And so we'll see what you guys think. It's going to take me a bit though still. Okay. So the Moscow Police Department. Okay. Daily, activity log. This was for November 12th, Saturday, November 12th, 2022. First, you got a noise complaint over there in Ashbury. hearing bass, loud music, all that kind of stuff for over an hour. That's like a little after midnight. And Ashbury has got a lot of, like there's a trailer park right near there. There's a lot of activity in this area. A lot of activity, nefarious activity. Probably because of, the amount of rentals that are there in this area. And they're probably not quite as expensive as other ones, maybe. So, a lot of partying students, maybe. I'm not, and regular. I mean, they don't have to be students, just younger group of people, maybe. And so, that's kind of how I feel about over there. Unable to locate 200 Baker. So, a welfare check on a daughter who is not returning calls. Officer responded, no report. Now, I feel like this could be maybe the mom calling to see, because she knew that her daughter went out and that she was having issues. Like, she was aware of it prior to her going out. In fact, she even mentioned something. I'm going to have to remember to put that in here. Something about mentioning before the kids all went to the bar. And I've skirted past that for one reason or another. I don't know why I've not put that in here or why I've not addressed it, but it's still there in my head. And I'm like, I don't know why I've skirted over it. Maybe because it wasn't ready to go into a video yet. I don't know, but that's kind of how things work with me. It just drops where it's supposed to drop. It's weird. I don't know why it does that. But this could be the mom, Leonard's wife, calling on, to find out if her daughter's okay. Except for it's not the address, the area. This is Baker Street, which also has a lot of interesting things going on. Goes in, we now got a warrant arrest, and that's at 1:56 a.m. Arrested a male on a warrant. Yep. So remember, this is a time now. Farley's out of jail. Farley's got on furlough. Megan Marshall let him out. Cannot believe that. And he has not returned. So he's out and about. He's roaming the streets. And definitely he wasn't arrested because he was still out and about. Then we have this person. And it's 400 West 6th Street. Now, remember, in the recording, the daughter says that she felt like this. This is what she felt like that night. So requesting to speak to an officer is feeling suicidal. Officers responded, no report. Now, also you got to remember too, is that this family knows officers, knows cops, knows the department, the sheriff's department, and the police department, because every year they make them Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner, and then they deliver it to them. There's even pictures of them in the annual reports that shows a photograph of Leonard and his wife and 3 officers, and they've got a plate of dinner, Thanksgiving or Christmas, that they brought for them, right? So here's a little something that makes me, this is how I feel about this thing. So years ago, I had a place, and I had a, I called it the cottage. It's a little rental off the back, and it was just, it was like a studio, but it was really cool, actually. It's a pretty big studio place. And anyway, I decided I'm going to rent it. And I didn't for a long time, but I thought I'm going to go ahead and do it. Well, I got contacted by, I can't remember, they're not the housing authority, something like that. And it was, asking me if I would think about renting it out to someone who was, in the system. They had, partial state would pay for it, and then they would pay for the other part, and it was mostly state that paid for it, so it was kind of cool that way. But also, I was a caregiver at the time, so she ended up being my person I cared for. So it was right behind, on my property, and so I got paid for her living there, her, renting out my place, plus I got paid as her caregiver. Well, when she got there, I just felt it was weird. I felt like I knew who this person was in a weird way. I didn't know her, but something was weird. Well, as she started setting up stuff in the apartment or the studio, this picture popped up, and I was like, And I'm like, is that my stepdad? She's like, no, and then she named him off. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I said, you're my mom's husband's brother's girlfriend? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, our ex-girlfriend? I was like, oh my God, what a small freaking world. And they looked like twins, like my stepdad and her ex looked like total twins. I mean, you really couldn't tell them apart. And I was just like, whoa, this is weird. Well, I didn't know much about his family or any of the other kids. There was kind of like a split between the two down the middle. Like there was the ones that were rebels and the ones that were, totally good kids and whatever. But when I'm talking rebels, I'm talking rebels. So she was on dating side on the rebels. Yeah. So she had a lot of issues. She passed away when she was 44. And I'm the one that had to call the ambulance for that too. Yeah, it was really, really, really hard. The whole time she was there, it was very hard. She was a handful. Oh, a handful. But bringing the officers into it, making friends with the officers, this is what she told me, because she had all these stickers on her window, supporting the fire department. When they stand out in the street and they have their boots out there and they put the money in the boots, and that kind of thing. She told me at one point that she always did that and always had those stickers in her windows because it showed her as being supportive of these departments and that they would help her. Like if something happened, like they would help her, and because they knew that she had donated or whatever. And let me tell you, she wasn't lying. There was times, so she couldn't drink at all. She was an alcoholic, but she could not take even a sip of anything because it would send her liver and kidneys into just shock. I mean, it was just immediate. Well, there was a couple times that she didn't show back up when she should have been at the house, and it got me very concerned, especially after the first time. Like this, the first time I didn't really know what was going on, but then I found out real quick like what was going on. Her drink of choice was Yukon Jack. Gross. And she would put it in like fruit juice. And so it was always a sweet smelling. You really couldn't smell the alcohol on it. And you couldn't really tell, but boy, she went literally just crazy in the head. I mean, just really nuts. And anyway, she was brought home by cops a couple different times because she was like driving the wrong way. She was like, I mean, serious stuff, serious things that she should have been put in jail for, but they didn't. They brought her back to the house. And I believe that's because she had stickers on her window, all over her windows, on both sides and the back. Because every time she drove by and they were doing the boot thing, or anytime there was any type of donation or toy, anything like that, she put $1 in that boot and she got a sticker. And she was saved by them many times from being put in jail. And this is how I feel about the Leonards. This is how I feel about them getting away with everything. And I'm not saying his wife is innocent either. I don't think, quite frankly, I don't think she is. I don't know. This is pure speculation, but there's some... From the sound of it, all of her kids have issues. They're in a trailer park that has a lot of issues. Her husband has a lot of issues. And she overlooks it, comes out saying, oh, he's the greatest guy, or she's, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Sugarcoating it. That's the word I'm looking for, sugarcoating it. So when I see these things, like Leonard getting off, like, killing a person, but not getting hardly any time for that. I mean, it was crazy, like 5 months or something like that. It was like nothing. And for the wife beating her up, it was considered, it was like a misdemeanor. It was I can't remember what they called it. It might have been a misdemeanor, but I'll have to look it up. But it was, the report I'll eventually read to you, it's horrific what he did to her. And he went off on her. She went back to check on him, and he went off. First thing he did was he smacked her with a closed fist, and he had a knife in his hand because he'd been in the back room allegedly cutting himself when she went back there. And he just hauled off and punched her with a closed fist with a knife in his hand. That's how it started. So she's got these two daughters she talks about in these interviews. One's 15 and one's 20. And they're both have depressed, they're got issues with depression. So does he. Supposed to be taking medication, right? And I'm thinking maybe the girls do too, but at this point, it looks like the girls are self-medicating because of their records. So, and they both are constantly, having issues with this, unaliving issues with, themselves by their own hands. So this is why I think this could possibly be her. And it was this night that her baby daddy was giving her a lot of issues, and his friends being mean, calling her names, telling her to go out and, do herself in, that kind of stuff. So that whole incident, that yelling thing that's on Linda Lane, where you can hear the guy say, "You said you were going to be at your mother's," and blah, 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 blah. I don't know, but it could very well be him, his friends, and her right there. But right there in that area at that time. I don't know. None of us really know. We only know what we've heard. I do believe, and I'm not taking that, I'm not saying that's not, what was happening to Ethan and Dana, because I believe they were there at the time, but I don't believe they were right at that scene. I believe they were at the other Linda Lane and on Blake Street, or Blake Avenue. I don't think they were at Linda Lane. The more I look at these and decipher these, the surveillance, the more and more it looks like they were at the other dumpster site of Linda Lane and Blake Avenue, which is basically a satellite frat row for, I can't remember what the frats are on there, but anyway, Matt belongs to one of them. He's listed as being living on that Blake Avenue, actually. Yeah, I gotta take a breath. Okay, So, this person is requesting to speak to an officer, is feeling, wedding, and officer responded, no report. 400 West 6th. DUI, alcohol or drugs. Perimeter Drive and West 6th Street. Okay. Let me shut this little thing right here down, okay. So, later on, this is also going to come up, I believe, I think in this one, maybe it was the day before. So, we've got RP reporting party advising female hit another car and trying to flee. Officers responded and arrested the female for a DUI. This is at 8:15 in the morning. Okay. Traffic violation. South Main Street and South View Avenue. Semi-parked in the middle of the road facing south. Officer advised, no report. Whenever I read this, it just flashes me right back to Farley Trucking. There's several trucking companies by the name of Farley. And one of them, his dad used to work for. And I don't know why, I don't know if that's who it was, but every time I read this, that's what I see in my brain, I just do. Now you've got a narcotics canine search. This is on Wicksfield on 6th Street. So we're back up here, up here we've got 6th Street, right here, West 6th Street. So this is where she hit the car and attempted to flee, and she was arrested. And now we have a canine search right in this area. And the officer requested a case. So was this case requested because of her hitting that car and whatever happened in that interaction right there? Don't know. Non-injury traffic accident. This is on 3rd. Officer responded to a 2-vehicle accident, state accident report taken. 2-vehicle accident not blocking. Domestic dispute. North Adams. Complaint of family dispute. Officer responded, no report. Now, you really could think about what was going to happen. What's coming next? What's going to happen the next day, right? And you've got to think, if this is all in the works, and this has been planned, which I do believe it was, there's going to be some discrepancies amongst people, maybe in families, if it's by the hands of a family, and if they brought other people in. to go with them to do this dirty deed, there's going to be disputes. No matter if they're on the same page or not, there's going to be disputes because there's going to be something somebody does not agree with, in my opinion. Another hit and run. Guess what? This is North Main Street at Corner Club. So, this was like in the middle of the afternoon. So, reporting their right back taillight has been smashed. Happened sometime last night. No info was left by suspect. Officer responded. Report was taken. So, did she just like, what I'm picturing is like, how someone's driving their Hammer and they're driving up the road and they're not driving very well. She's a new driver. She's not, she's not that seasoned in being behind a wheel. And then you add alcohol to it, and that's even worse. And whatever else was going on that night. So all I see in my mind's eye is this car driving up the road and just going from one, bouncing off cars up the middle, bouncing off one side, back to the left and the right and the left and the right, until they get to either their car doesn't move anymore, or they're at the vicinity that they were trying to get, to in the first place, or they're lost and they ended up somewhere else. I don't know. But that's what I see when I read these things like this. And stray animal, we got 6th Street in Washington. Now remember, I always think the Washingtons, the Grants, the Garfield, all that kind of stuff, Cleveland, they're all presidents. So when I see the Washington, I always think the president side of town, which is located where Farley had his address, which was Cleveland. Although there is a there's a report on this police record that talks about an eviction, and that eviction was in the latter months of 2021. So I don't know if they ended up staying there and until they filed everything they could, until they actually literally by hand kicked them out. This I do not know. So I don't really know how to read those reports. Not like Embry does. I don't go as deep as he does. I mean, these are just the ones I go on to. It's just a LATAW, the name search, and it pulls up a lot of stuff. I mean, I think Farley's got 43 different reports on his, and I think Kara's got like 32. This girl here that I'm talking about, she's got about 4 or 5, and it's one of some controlled substance. One of them's the DUI, and the other couple I think are electronic cigarette tobacco stuff. Yeah, there is. Oh, that Tanya, she's got a ton too. She's right up there with Farley. Yeah, I'm saying a lot today. I've noticed that. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to. At least I'm not saying like. I just rewatched that Enon Harsh video, and oh my Lord, the first one he did with Lauren. I was just going to take like a little chunk out of it, like maybe 5 minutes, and like count, have it like a little, a clicker and count every time he said like. And I was like, there's no way. There must have been 100 or more. And I'm not joking. It was unbelievable. I'm like, wow. All right. Well, anyway, this black lab puppy, poor little guy, orange collar, running at large. This one's been around. It's been... Poor, this dog's always lost. It's always out and about running the streets, and it's so sad. It makes me so ill. People, they shouldn't have animals, those people. Non-injury traffic accident, West 6th Street. Again, West 6th Street is a popular one tonight. Stadium Drive, or all day. Reporting a 2-vehicle accident. Officer responded. State accident report taken. I also believe, and I know you guys have heard me say this, that one way of distracting the officers from a certain area is by causing accidents in another area to, get them to come to that side of the town instead of the other side of the town. And I believe that's a lot of these accidents are actually, on purpose. I'm not saying all of them, but I believe a lot of them are. Got a communication problem on 5th. Complaint of an open line 911 call. Officer responded, no report. Now remember, there's communication lines that were down this particular, or on the 13th. I don't know about the 12th, but they're always having issues with their 911 lines. It's a given. It's a given. I mean, they just do there. Why? I know they call out. It's like they don't even have one in their town. It's from another area takes it. And thank God there's someplace that takes it, because holy Moses. Another accident, hit and run. And they didn't give the address on here, which is always a little nefarious. I'm doing finger quotes as I'm talking right now, tilting my head with my eyebrows up. Yeah. Like, yeah, sure thing. Yeah, quote. I'm in Moscow. Complaint of a vehicle hit on the passenger side. Officer responded and a report was taken. In the interview that Leonard's wife and her daughter do, that about, with that reporter, she says that she totaled her vehicle and blew out the tire on the passenger side. So is it that same one? What I'm picturing is, the red car, the photo of the red car where the people are walking around in white, onesies, like Tyvek, suits. And this car's like up on blocks. I don't know if it's up on blocks, but it looks like it's messed up a little. It's a lot on the passenger side. I pictured that this is that car. And I pictured that this car is somewhere like, I don't even know where Farm Road and all those things are. But that's my first visual that I got in word form, I guess, was that Farm Pullman Road. That's where I thought that vehicle was. And I don't even know what that area looks like, but that is what I felt. And I know I've said it out loud on here many times. And I don't even know if that's where that is, but it just feels like that's where it is. I don't know. I'm weird like that. Anyway, was this the red car? Was she driving a red car that night? Was she driving Leonard's car? Because I know they talk about Leonard having a Mustang. He does have a Mustang. They talk about it. And so I don't know what she was driving that night, but I mean, she might have one of those beater red cars too. For all we know, they could be totally, lying in that interview, and they're the ones that have the red beater cars, because kind of weird. That interview was totally weird. Totally weird. Okay, parking problem. North Washington. There's a president reporting a vehicle blocking his driveway. Officer responded, no report. This is another thing they do, is they block driveways. They'll park in front of, blocking people in or out. Mostly in, I think. And it's just their way of, I don't know if it's a message they're sending. I don't know what it is. A warning? Don't know. Safety hazard. At Winco, reporting 2 kids dancing in the road, getting just off the sidewalk. Officer responded, no report. Hiring a kite? Don't know. Distracting, so they'll go over and talk to them, and while something else up the road is even worse? Don't know. Theft. Oh, let's see, there's Walmart. Is that right by where Winco is? Probably. 2 shoplifters in custody. Both are cooperative. Officers responded. Report taken. I guess that dancing didn't help out much, did it? Wow. So Tanya, she has a history, big, long history in her police reports of petty theft. It's one of her major things that she has listed in there. And so does someone by the same name as Leonard's wife's name, also has a lot of theft police reports. So we've got harassment at the co-op, has a previous no contact order with the mail that is now expired. The mail is now at the RP's place of work, just staring at the RP. That is just disturbing. Very disturbing. You think about, first of all, those contact orders don't mean shit. I mean, yeah, having one, it depends on your town probably, but they really, in order to get anything done, you have to be attacked or something by somebody, and then it's an iffy if they even keep their eyes on you after that, because experience, put it that way. I've had my experience with this. And sometimes a no contact order gets you in more trouble than not doing it, because they contact the other party and they know what party they're not supposed to be near, and it makes them even madder, right? So sometimes a no contact order is, yeah, it shouldn't be that way, but it is. It is. And they work their way, they get around it somehow. They do. Civil calls, Levick Street. There's that Levick. Request to speak with the officer about parking assignments in a private lot. Officer advised, no report. Animal problem, Meadows Street. Now Meadows turns into Hayes, and back into Meadows, and back into Hayes. Or wait, maybe that's Orchard Street in Hayes? And that's Orchard and Hayes. But Meadows also has someone that's on the registry that lives out there on Meadows. I don't know if those guys all stick together or not, but I don't know. Reporting a dog has been barking in the cold all day. Officer advised, no report. So I feel like if you've read the police reports and continuously went in and looked at them as much as I have, you see a pattern. And the pattern that I'm seeing with this is that when there's a delivery that comes into town, when it's that interval, that whatever span of time that they do this in, comes into town, you can bet that 1 to 2 days before and 1 to 2 days after, there's going to be some crazy stuff going down. The 1 to 2 days before, there's going to be a lot of irritated people because they're waiting for their stuff, right? That's what it sounds like in these reports, because there's a lot of harassment, there's a lot of things like that. But the couple days after, maybe even a little further down the road, that's when you're going to get the calls for the Griffin Hospital. You're going to get the unaliving calls from people. You're going to get overdoses. You're going to get all that stuff. And it's a pattern, and it's very obvious that that's what's going on. So it feels to me like in these times, like when these dogs are left out, that person is somewhere getting what they need, and they're not even thinking about their animals or their kids or anything else. They're just getting their fix. Parking problem. That was West 6th. This is East 6th. Complaint of vehicles parking in a no parking zone. Officer responded, no report. Okay, you're going to see this on the 13th as well. The 13th, there was vehicles parked in no parking and on the opposite side of the road, like parked backwards. Easy out, if they have to leave in a quick manner is what I kind of think on that one. Traffic violation, 200 block of Farm Road. There we go. There's Farm Road. I don't remember. Complaint of vehicle driving on the wrong side of the road. Officer responded, unable to locate. It's so weird I just say that, because I don't remember reading this part. That's funny. But I mean, it's true. I mean, they're out of their mind. Something's going on where they're just not thinking. There's another theft on Travois Way. Complaint of theft of a backpack. Officer contacted, a report was taken. Now, this backpack, there's been talk of it as being the 3 guys that come in and they leave the same time when the yellow glove guy leaves, and when Emma, I'm going to say Emma and Enon, you guys know who I'm talking about when I say that, even though it's, we don't know if that's them or not. But they all left right about the same time, and the 3 guys, they had a backpack with them. Intoxicated person. Here's the North Main Street. So now we're getting into, the hours. Wait a second here. Yeah, the 12th. Okay, yeah. Okay. So we've got the Moose Lodge, the Main Street Lodge. So third-party report. Now, this is a weird one. Reporting party said her boyfriend, told her an intoxicated person, possibly a male, is causing issues there. No further details. Officer responded, and no report. Now, I think Lana might have had a body cam of this, where there's an officer talking to, like, the bartender or something at this Moose Lodge, and they took it upon themselves, the Moose Lodge, to do what they needed to do with this person or whatnot. And the police were like, no, you don't do that. We take care of that. And it was like, almost like they were saying the same thing like the frats and sororities. Like, you don't call 911 for this. You talk to us and we take care of it, or something down on those lines. But it was really interesting because I think they mentioned Justin Olson in that. God, if I can think, I tried looking for that video and I didn't find it, but I believe his name was mentioned, or he was one of the guys that went there or something. I don't remember that exactly, but it rings a bell somewhere. But this is that call that they're talking about with the Moose Lodge. And so the Moose Lodge is in the same parking lot as the Corner Club. It's 2 car lengths away, you know. So then we've got this alcohol offense. Now this is Deacon Avenue and University Avenue. So if you're on Linda Lane, the dumpster side, and you're standing at the dumpster and you're looking out at Taylor Avenue, to your right, the next street over, is going to be Blake Avenue. That's where all the satellite fraternity places are, houses right there. The next street over from that is Deacon. And then you got University Avenue. So these right, 3 streets, boom, boom, boom. And when we're talking streets lined up that way, it's not that far away from each other at all. Jumping in between houses like that when they're all frat houses and, off-campus student housing, easy peasy, right? So we've got the alcohol offense over there, requested a case, report taken. Okay, so how come we don't have, well, maybe there is body cam on this one. Maybe got to look that one up. That might be interesting to find out who those were. So then we got a parking problem, all right? Blake Avenue and Campus Drive. Blake Avenue, remember, looking out, standing at the dumpster on Linda Lane, 1320. You're looking out at Taylor Avenue, and on your right-hand side, the next street over is Blake Avenue. Vehicles parked on both sides of the road, but one side of the road is no parking. 5 to 6 total, but two are in a really bad spot. Officer responded and unfounded. Now, unfounded, I looked this up along quite a while ago from another. Oh, I know what it was. It was when that BMW was reported stolen, that X6 from Nom Nom. Yeah, that was September 16th, I believe, 2022, when that was reported. But it also said unfounded on it. When I looked up unfounded, it basically says that people are lying, or they're telling us, it was a false report, or they couldn't find any information on it, or just anything. But it would seem to me that any of these things up here could be unfounded if you think about it that way. But not very often do you see unfounded. So when I see unfounded, it makes me feel like they're trying to, keep it on the down low. Like it's like keeping it out of this, the limelight, put it that way. So I feel that the officer said that as not to bring this to your attention, make people aware. So then we've got the controlled substance problem. This is Wallace Complex. So this is Ashbury Almond area, because the Wallace Complex is right there where that that Thomas Adams shot the place up with the 130 something rounds of shells, casings on the ground. Jeez Louise. Requested a case, report taken. So we're right back up here on West 6th. All this right in this area, West 6th Street. Okay? We'll go look on Landglide after this. Citizen assist, North Almond, go figure. Request assistance for a highly intoxicated male. Officer responded, no report. Highly intoxicated. And I do believe there was hazing going on this night as well. It's that time of year. So they get them super hammered. They drive them to a place where their wrists are bound, they're blindfolded, and they're put into a vehicle after they've been fed a bunch of alcohol, and they're fed a bunch of alcohol on the way there. So they take them some say, a little way, some say 2 miles away, whatever. They turn them in circles when they get them out of the vehicle. Then they take unbound them. And their mission is to find the White Cross. And so, and to get back to the frat house within a certain amount of time. And they leave them hammered out of their minds, don't know where they're at. Some of these guys are freshmen normally, and they've never been here. This is their first time in this town, probably. And they're hammered. They're blinded. They're blinded drunk. And they drop them off in the middle of nowhere because they don't know where they went because they're blindfolded. They don't see the path that they've driven to get to this point from the frat house where they were taken from. Most of them don't have the right kind of gear. They tell them, some of them don't even have shoes on in some reports. And this is November. You got to remember, this is cold. This is Idaho, northern Idaho. Hopefully this person got help. Animal bites. Here we go. Yeah, there we go. So to end the night, I guess, we've got animal bites, 900 block of Vandal Drive, complaint of a dog bite, victim transported to Gritman, no report. No report. You always report a dog bite because of many reasons. If that dog were to bite a child, you need a past report to know if this dog is vicious or whatever. You need some, paper trail. Dog bites are serious. And I love dogs. And one of my favorite breeds is pit bulls. But they have to be with the right people. The wrong people, and that dog is not a good dog. I'm not saying not a good dog. It doesn't know how to do good things. I think all dogs are good. It's the owners, the people that are supposed to be taking care of them and loving them that teach them bad things. And they're loyal. Dogs are loyal, right? It's sad, but true that people do this. Okay, so that's it for this one. All right. I'm putting this up right now, and it's going to be basically, so it should be part of the next video I'll be putting up. So it's kind of meshing with that video. Okay. Does it all make sense? I don't know. Hopefully it does. Okay. Love you guys. Thanks. Bye.